In this segment, we'll be discussing the weekly deep clean for the ground control Cyclops. There are 2 steps to the weekly deep clean. The first step is cleaning the internal surfaces of the brew box area, and the second step is cleaning the mesh that's in the center of the brew basket itself. Well, let's get started. Let's clean up the brew box area. So this is actually really very quick and straightforward. To clean the brew box area, we remove the drip tray, and then we remove the top of the brew box as well. We now have access to the entire brew box area. What we're going to do is we're going to take a rag and wipe down the surfaces, removing any visible coffee grounds or coffee grounds. You're welcome to use soap when you clean this, as long as you wash the soap off when you're done. And if there are grounds obstructing the mesh that is a guard for the drain area in the back of the brew box, you could simply take that mesh out and clean out any of the grounds before placing it back in. Now that we're done cleaning all of the internal surfaces, what we'll do is we'll place the tray back in. And we'll also place the brew box top. Now, a word of caution with the brew box top. What you want to do is make sure that this lip from the brew box top goes above the metal lip that's on the top of the brew box area. So there's a tiny little metal lip right under the backsplash. So what we're going to do is make sure that this piece goes above the internal lip over here. So we're going to do this up. Easy peasy. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the mesh out of the brew basket and we're going to clean that mesh overnight. So before we go over how we do that, let me walk you through the way the brew basket is designed. So you'll notice that the brew basket has a perforated disc with hundreds of holes. And on the side of the disc, there are 3 large recesses. On the brew basket itself, on the bowl, you'll notice that there are 3 notches, little dimples really, that are right next to the recesses on the edges of the disc. What we want to do is remove the perforated disc so that we can access the mesh that is in the center. So the way we do that is we use the ground control perf tool. So this is a tool that ships with every single ground control system. And the key feature of the tool is it has 2 little teeth at the bottom. What you want to do is you want to take those teeth and engage them with any of the 2 of the hundreds of holes that are on the perforated disc as such. So what you'll do is you will place the brew basket on a stable surface, lock these teeth with 2 of the holes, and what you want to do is turn the perforated disc itself using the perf tool once it's locked into the 2 holes, such that the dimple on the brew basket moves towards the recess in the perforated disc itself. In this case, what we will be doing is we will be turning the perforated disc counterclockwise. So as you can see, the recess in this example is to the right of the dimple. So we're going to turn it counterclockwise with the perf tool. Once we've done that, you'll notice that the disc is now loose and totally removed. In a normal state, the perforated disc will be locked into the brew basket, and we use the perf tool to loosen it and remove it. Now that the perforated disc is out of the brew basket, we have complete access to the mesh in the center. And what we'll do is we'll reach through the sides with our fingers, and we will take out the mesh so that it can be deep cleaned. So put the brew basket aside. And what we're going to do is we're going to place this mesh in a cup that is half filled with hot water, and then we're going to add a tablespoon of Kafiza into the water, and we're going to agitate the slurry so that there's good contact between the Kafiza and the water. Now what we're going to do is we're going to leave this mesh Kafiza slurry overnight to set. Note that on days where you do this weekly deep clean, there's no need to clean the entire system. So you can clean the brewer using the daily clean 6 days a week, and you can do the deep clean once a week. If you opt to do the deep clean on a daily basis, which some of our customers do, you will still need to do the daily clean as well afterwards so that you can clean the glass in the filters in the system. In the morning, to complete the deep clean, what you want to do is take your mesh slurry and pour the water itself, the slurry, into another cup and remove the mesh from the slurry. So we're going to take the mesh, we're going to rinse it out, ideally very thoroughly because it has a lot of kefisa in it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place the mesh back into the brew basket. Now, what we want to do is when we place the mesh inside, we want to push it down strongly, but in the center using our thumb so that it's thoroughly secure. We do not want the mesh to be placed inside and pushed inside on the sides of this mesh, but rather we push it down on the center. We then take the perforated disc and we align each of the recesses on the disc, these grooves, with the 3 notches in the brew basket so that the largest part of the grooves aligns with the pins on the bowl. And then what we do is we move the perforated disc along the direction of the groove so that it gradually tightens. We do not want to move it in the direction of the sharp increase in the groove. We want it to gradually tighten along the perforated disc. Typically what I suggest is to get the tightening process started by hand. So you actually want to place the pins by hand along that groove, and then for the final step, tighten it with the perf tool. One of the mistakes people make is you need each of the 3 notches above the grooves and fully tightened in order for this process to work. If you don't have each of the 3 notches above the grooves and tightened with the perf tool, what you'll find is that the perf easily falls out. So when you're done with your tightening step, make sure every time that you check that it's properly tightened using your hand by trying to remove the perforated disc by hand. If you can't remove it by hand, then you've properly tightened the brew basket and you're good to go. If you notice that the perforated disc is falling out for whatever reason, that means that you have not tightened it sufficiently with the perf tool, and you should practice to make sure that the perf is fully secured each time when you're done with the weekly clean. Once you're done fully reassembling your brew basket, you will want to place the brew basket in the system, run a few water rinse cycles to make sure that any kefisa is out of the system, and then your machine is clean and you're ready to brew again.